Hi, my name is Russell Bowyer and I'm from Scuba Diving Earth, and today I'm going to talk about the 7 ways that you can fail your open water diver. Of course you don't want to fail it, but if you do any of these 7 things, that's the quickest way to fail. And to avoid failure, make sure you don't do these. So number 1 is obviously not reading your theory. There's 2 parts to any diver training, and that's the theory, you have to pass that by taking an exam, and there's the practical, going underwater. So make sure you read those, because if you don't, it'll be very difficult to pass that exam. If you don't pass the exam, you can't progress onto the practical, and you won't be able to go underwater. But as a slight tip, make sure you read the right material. Don't you read BZAC material to be able to try and pass a PADI exam, and vice versa. Don't read PADI material to pass a BZAC. Now, whilst all diving organisations teach pretty much the same thing, it'd be better to actually use the right material for the right exam to make sure you pass. You've got to have, you want to make sure you've got the biggest chance of passing rather than failing. Number 2, not listening and not paying attention to the instructor. I've been there, I used to teach diving, and you get someone who is just not switched on, and they're just not paying attention to you, they're looking elsewhere, they're just not listening to what you're telling them. And there's 2 reasons why an instructor is telling you something. Number 1, it's for your own safety, because scuba diving is classed as a dangerous sport, and if you don't listen to what they're saying, and if you don't do what they tell you, you could get yourself into trouble. And the second reason is that they're teaching you so that you will pass. So if you listen to what they tell you and you do what they tell you, that's the way you can pass. But if you don't listen and if you don't pay attention, that's the quickest way to failing. Number 3. Now this is an important one actually, not just for passing or avoiding failing your open water diver, but it's for your own safety too. And that's hiding medical conditions. Now most medical conditions are very difficult to spot, and most scuba diving instructors or trainers aren't medically trained doctors. Some might be, but they're not going to know whether there's something wrong with you. The only way you'll find out, and if you're worried about something, is to go to your doctor. But where you could fail is if, for example, you've hidden the fact that you have asthma, and in between one of the courses or before a dive you happen to take your inhaler. That's the quickest way to fail, because the scuba diving instructor is going to stop you right there. They're not going to let you go diving because they'll be worried that something could happen to you. So make sure you disclose it. Get a letter or something from your doctor that says it's okay to dive, not only to protect the scuba diving instructor and to allow them to pass you rather than fail you, but also for your own safety, because you don't want to be going diving with something that's going to affect you in a serious way when you're diving. Now this one's also very important for your own safety. Do not race to the surface. Now, it does happen when someone panics when they're in the water for the very first time. You have to ascend in a controlled way. If you get to the bottom and you suddenly shoot to the surface, now whilst that may not be an automatic failure, if you continue to do that every time you're on the bottom, you will probably get failed purely because it's for your own safety, because they're not going to pass someone who's going to panic every time, because A, that puts yourself in danger, but it puts your buddies or everyone around you in danger too, because they're going to possibly have to come up with you. So don't do that. And at the end of the dive, don't race your instructor to the surface. Do it nicely and controlled, using a diving computer if you have one at that point in time, or follow the ascent rate of your instructor to be safe and secure, and that's the quickest and easiest way to pass and avoid failing on that score. Just as a side, if you're enjoying the videos from Scuba Diving Earth, please give us a big thumbs up, that we really appreciate it, and subscribe if you want to see more from us, and you'll get notified of any other videos that I do on tips and ideas about scuba diving. You'll get to see those. Thank you. So where are we? Number 5, being an idiot and being inconsiderate. No one likes the fool. There's nothing wrong in having a bit of fun, but not when you're learning to scuba dive. You want the instructor to see that you're being serious about learning to scuba dive and to pass. And if you're just being the fool and just being inconsiderate to other divers learning at the same time with you and distracting them, that's the quickest way for you to get a fail, because they'll just get fed up with you and they'll tell you to leave. And you don't want that to happen, so don't be the fool, and just be sensible and learn to dive. Number 6, messing around when you're underwater. Now again, there's nothing wrong in having fun, because scuba diving is supposed to be about fun, but don't do anything that could be dangerous, A, to you, to the scuba diving instructor, or to your fellow divers. Now, some people mess around by turning people's air off underwater. Now, whilst that's maybe funny, and if you're an advanced diver, that's okay, because you know how to deal with that, and you've got your buddies around if you get into difficulty. I'm not suggesting you should do that at any stage of your diving. However, certainly don't start doing dangerous things like that when you're learning to dive, because if the instructor thinks that you are a risk to yourself and other divers, and that's your quickest way to fail open water diver. So don't do it. Finally, not being able to clear your mask. Now, part of scuba diving training, and this is something that I always found that a lot of people struggle with during their training session, was clearing their mask. And it's here. When you go diving, what can happen is you can end up getting a little bit of water in there, or actually what can happen is the whole mask can get knocked off. You get too close to someone's fins and they knock that off. So you have to know how to clear that, and it's one of the techniques that you're taught in a pool, often very shallow, where you can stand up if you get into trouble. You'll learn to clear a little bit of the water, and then half a mask, then a full mask, and then you'll also be taught how to take the whole mask off, replace it, and then empty it out underwater. Now, as I said, it's something that some people do have difficulty doing when they're training to scuba dive, and if you can't master that technique, you will fail. So it's nothing to be worried about, and it's something that you can just practice, and as long as your scuba diving trainer or instructor is patient, you'll get through that. So don't panic, just take it a step at a time, and master each stage of that step by step. So master just having a little bit of air in the mask, and make sure you're happy with that before you move on to the next stage. Then fill up the half and make sure you can clear that. And before you even think about taking the mask off completely underwater, make sure you fill it up all the way. And always be aware, just as an aside, the very first time you take a mask off when you're underwater, when you've got your regulator in your mouth, it's a strange sensation, because ordinarily when you've got something in your mouth or blocking your mouth out, you want to breathe through your nose. Of course, you don't want to be doing that. So just be aware of that when you first have the mask taken off your face. It's something that you do. Just be aware of that happening, and you obviously just carry on breathing through your regulator. So as a recap, make sure you read the right diving material to pass your theory exam. Listen to the instructor and pay attention. Don't go racing to the surface. That's very dangerous to do. Don't be an idiot and inconsiderate. I'm sure that won't be you, but just be aware there might be other people, and let them get kicked off and fail the course. Don't mess around underwater doing something that's going to be dangerous, because that's your fastest way to be kicked off the course and fail. And make sure that you practice and you learn how to clear your mask, and then you'll pass your open water diver or ocean diver, and join the likes of myself and really enjoy years of great diving all around the world. Thank you very much for listening. Again, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks for listening. This has been Scuba Diving Earth, and my name is Russell Bowyer, and look out for the next video. Take care and happy diving.